What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, everybody. This is the Young Pro Showcase. Every single week, we bring training, we bring ideas, strategies, interviews, people who can ideally help you on your journey. I'm Josh Lockhart, and as you're hopping on, of course, you know the drill. If you've hung out with us at all, right? Put in the chat. Just type in, say, "Hey, I'm here," or "I'm gonna check it out," or whatever you're doing. And so, super excited on the individual that we have today. If you saw the title, How to Run Multiple Businesses. Of course, you know, we always talk about Legal Shield. We always talk about the young pros, but this individual is doing it all. And just somebody I've looked up to for a long time. And they're really winning in every area of life, financial, in business, in marriage, and in all things, and really has put it all together. And so I just thought it would be a really great thing for everybody to check out. So I'm going to bring on, we're going to go way over to Alabama. I don't know. For some people that's, we started talking about sports, but for other people, we won't even get to that because he's not here. I think we all know who we're talking about. But Kevin, man, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know, you're super duper busy, and I didn't overtly say it, but in the promotion, I was like talking about, hey, it's, you got to strategically put your life together, but we can jump into that here in a little bit. But glad to have you. You doing all right?
Doing great, Josh. Thanks so much for having me on, man. I appreciate you. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So, I don't know if you know this, but we have folks on Facebook, on multiple pages, and then we have people on YouTube as well. So we have folks coming in from all over the place. So, awesome. But for anybody that doesn't know, I think there's quite a few people that do know you. I'm seeing Jessica Brashears. I know she knows. Hey, Jessica, Jared B, Brian, what's going on? But for anybody that checks this out that doesn't know who you are in the promotion, I said, hey, this guy has 6 businesses, crazy stuff. You're married. Every time I see you, you're somewhere else. So if you could just kind of catch us up to speed on who Kevin Mohler Unlimited is.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Texas, moved here to South Alabama when I was 6 years old. This is home. Decided to be outside today because it's still beautiful weather here. All I need is a little light jacket. So I'm coming to you from the back porch right now, currently our back deck. But, again, when I moved to Alabama, I thought for some reason when I was growing up, I was going to do construction work and become a contractor and design and build custom built homes. And that was my plan. And so in high school, my junior and senior year of high school, ended up taking 5 drafting and design courses in trade school. And when I graduated, I went full-time with the construction crew, ended up managing that construction crew, building these large custom built homes for another home builder at the time, while I was going to college at night, 15 credit hours a semester, 5 nights a week, getting all my done for an architecture degree. And then working 40 to 50 hours during the daytime in construction, building these houses. And so I was on the grind nonstop, had nothing to show for it, had this big dream that one day, someday, I'm going to own this business. But in the back of my mind, I knew it was going to take me a long time to really be an established construction home builder, and a long time to learn and to prove myself in the architectural and design world. So I knew it was going to be decades potentially before I'd ever have any freedom if I was going to be a successful architect and home builder. But I wanted to own my own business, and I knew that from a very young age. In fact, I still have in my office to this day this little item that I bought at an arts and crafts store when I was probably, I'm going to say 11 or 12 years old. And I told my mom that one day this is going to hold my business card. And it does. It holds my business card today in my home office. But I always wanted to be a business owner. But the problem is how do you ever get started? Most businesses take a lot of time, take a lot of money, take a lot of risk. And so fast forward, while I was knee deep in my architectural studies at night and working construction in the daytime, the opportunity to work in my spare time with Legal Shield came up. And what that did is it opened up a world to me that I had not previously known. I've always been ambitious. I've always been hardworking. That's never been an issue for me. The challenge was I didn't think I ever needed something like personal development. Didn't even really know what it was. I had this preconceived notion that was a book to get people motivated or an audio to get people out of their chair. And I didn't need that. I was already ambitious. So in my mind, I didn't need that. And what I found with Legal Shield was really an entrepreneur incubator that taught me principles and got me looking outside of myself for information. It turned me into a consumer of information. It helped me to know that there were so many things in life that I was unaware of, that simply by becoming aware, I could start to change, because the first step of change is simply awareness. And personal development gave me this awareness that there are opportunities out there that you can take advantage of, that businesses don't have to take a lot of time. They don't have to take a lot of money, that you can do well. And these limitations that I had, like dropping out of school, which is what I proceeded to do, and being a former construction worker, living in South Alabama, those things were not holding me back. Originally they were, but personal development helped me to see beyond that of what was possible. And so got started at the age of 20. At 21 was an executive in the company and started to build an organization across the country, started teaching, training, developing a volunteer organization, if you will, a bunch of subcontractors like, with Legal Shield. And that took off and did well. And from there, started I became a partner at a specialty pharmacy, which was at the time was my mom's. And we rebranded the pharmacy. I started doing all the marketing, became the director of marketing, then the director of marketing and operations, then vice president. And then my nephew was diagnosed with autism. So we started the American Autism and Rehabilitation Center, which takes care of kids with special needs. Then we saw an opportunity to treat people not only with special needs, but with other situations with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So we started the hyperbaric oxygen therapy business called American Hyperbaric Center. And it has the largest hyperbaric oxygen therapy chamber in Alabama or Mississippi. We treat a variety of conditions there. We started a nonprofit to raise money for special needs. And through all of that, I've had my public speaking, coaching, and consulting company called Strategic Life Design. And so I do public speaking events, whether it's live in audiences that are small, like a boardroom, an executive team, or whether it's associations, organizations, huge arenas, you name it. And then the consulting side of what I do and coaching side are typically with entrepreneurs that want to level up their game, want to put systems in place in their business, want to get more efficient with their time, get more organized, feel like they're on top of their business and on top of their agenda so they can live life, so they can be healthy, so they can spend time with their family, so they can work out, enjoy hobbies, fulfill their passion and their purpose while their business continues to grow. And I enjoy teaching those principles.
Man, okay, so there's so much there, and for anybody watching, I hope you're taking some notes, because there's gonna be some good stuff here. I'm already, my mind's like racing with stuff that you said, and I've been thinking about anyway. But and then for anybody out there, I'm watching. We got all the comments coming in, so if you want to sneak in a question for Kevin, definitely throw it in there. But so really quick, just so. Some things that you didn't say, or some things that you started to say, but people may or may not know. And you can follow Kevin on Instagram. What is it? What's your, if you're on YouTube, it's in the comments, but what's your Instagram handle?
It's Kevin Mohler, Mohler, and then _. But if you put in Kevin Mohler,
yeah. For anybody that's on YouTube, you can get there by going to youngproshowcase.com. Go in the description; it's there. You can follow Kevin. Some really, really good stuff. So he just said, hey, strategic life. I'm doing all this stuff, and I help other people. And sometimes when you hear other people online, right? There's just you see a YouTube video, you see some person online. I'm gonna help you to put your life together, and this, like, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, right? And so, especially if you go follow Kevin on Instagram, I mean, if you go back just a little bit up until now, I mean, the dude's cut, man. He's looking good, right? So he's talking about working out. I know. He's putting it in, and then we just talked about he's went to Mexico recently. He's got all these different companies, and then you're doing the speaking, you're doing training, but also like, construction, Legal Shield, and then all this, like, healthcare, not healthcare, but like in the health and wellness, I guess you would say. Like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know how much you knew about that before you got into that. So like, these are wildly different things from just hearing you talk about this. So how do you enter in a role in run these businesses, and how much did you really know about them before you got into them?
Yeah, so great questions. First of all, I have made a living professionally in businesses now for 13 years. I've been self-employed. I have made a living by surrounding myself with people smarter than me. Now, I mean that in two different ways. One is in the mentor and coaching realm. I have people around me that are smarter, brighter, more experienced, that I can lean on. I believe that everybody in life needs a coach. In fact, I believe we need coaches. We need people that have been there, done that, still doing it in certain areas of our life that could take us to the next level. The person that can help you in your health is not going to be probably the same person that's going to help you in your finances, which is probably not going to be the same person that's going to help you launch a company. Like, we need people around us that are smarter. and that have the experience because they shorten our learning curve and they make us better. They help us see the landmines that we don't know we're about to step on. So that's the first thing. I surround myself with people smarter than me when it comes to mentorship and coaching. The second thing is I do the same thing from an employment standpoint. I don't have a college degree. I'm a dropout. My resume is a construction worker and a college dropout. That's my resume. But what I've done is I have become a serious scout of talent to bring world-class people to organizations that I believe in. And when you stand behind something, when you have that integrity and something that you stand behind, something you're passionate about, then people that have the contacts, people that have the credibility, people that have the finances, people that have the degrees and the education, the right ones will buy into your vision. And you can lead a vision without a certification. You don't need a college degree to be a visionary. You don't need a college degree to start a business. You don't need any of those things. Now, there's certain positions that somebody has to have. My wife's an occupational therapist. Prime example. I'm a college dropout. She's a college genius. The girl's got more certifications and degrees than I can shake a stick at. She is brilliant. And she does really good as an occupational therapist. I can never walk into a place and say, hey, I'm going to be an occupational therapist because I'm passionate about it. They'd say, show me your degrees, show me your certifications. We can't even bill insurance if you don't have a college degree as an occupational therapist. But I can own a clinic that has those people. And so I'm constantly looking for people better than me to help carry out the vision. And again, if you have that purpose and that passion, the right people will fall in there into place no matter what it is that you're building. So that's kind of my short answer, Josh, is I know what I stand for and I know what I want to do. I'm a very spiritual person too, and I'm not pushing that on anybody, but I feel led and compelled that I'm here on purpose, for a purpose, to carry that out. I believe that God has a plan for my life, just like I believe everybody watching this. God's got a plan for your life. And so what I try to do is just be obedient, try to get out of my own way, stay out of my own way, and bring people into my sphere that stand for the same things that I do, that believe the same things that I believe, that are better than me. And by doing that, I believe that you really, truly can't fail permanently.
Man, that's good. That's good. When you said when you said bring people in that are smarter than you, my first thought was, well, it's not too hard for me to do.
Yeah, same here. The bar's kind of low. It's hard.
Brian Abrams says he's a beast. I agree with that, Brian. So real quick for everybody that's watching, I'm kind of interested, right? When you think about being a business owner and if you're working with us, partner with us, then, by definition you are, but what's a business that you always wanted to be in, right? Like at one point in time, I wanted to be a scientist. Like, I don't know if that was a business, but I wanted to be like this, have this business that was probably when I was 8, maybe, you know what I mean? So I wanted to be like a mad scientist. Then I wanted to be a stunt person too, like in Hollywood. Like that was a whole nother thing. That didn't work out anyway. I kind of missed the curve on that one. But anyway, I'm just curious, right? So real quick, type in the chat, if you wanted to own a business at some point, just write, what would that business be? I know Jared B, he's on, he's a business owner. So, talk to me. I mean, you got 6 companies, and I guess I always ask this question a lot in different ways, because we have different people on here that are doing like multiple things. And it's always crazy to me how everybody manages to fit it in. I guess the answer is, like, if you really know what you want, like you said, you just kind of figure out a way. But when you start talking about all these different things that you're doing, I guess a 2-part question. I'll save the second one for here in a second, because I don't want to get too, throw too much at you at once. But like, what does it look like to try to have your hand on all these different pots at one time? I mean, how does that work out? And then, like I said, I got 2 follow-up questions after that.
Yeah. So, there's only a couple of different things that any of us are going to be world-class at. And I think the part when you start taking on so many projects is realize, what are you really good at? And one of the things that I tell our staff and our team all the time is, what are the things that only you can do, the way that only you can? And there's only a handful of those things for all of us. For some of us, it's 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 things that we are really, 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 really good at. If we spend our life on refining those, that we can become world-class in those things. The things I'm bad at, if I get better, I'm just going to be better at being bad. I'm just not going to be as bad. I'm never going to be world-class at the things that I'm horrible at, or the things I'm not interested in, or the things I hate doing. The good news is, the things you hate doing, there's somebody who loves it. I hate accounting. There's accountants that love it. I would never want to be a lawyer. There are attorneys that love practicing law. That's the good news. I don't want to work on people's teeth, but my dentist loves it. It's the calling on his life. So, for us, we need to find the people that love doing what they're good at doing. For us, we need to recognize what we are world-class at doing, or what we're really good at doing that we can become world-class in, and then delegate the rest to the best of our ability. I love what John Maxwell talks about. If somebody can do it 80% as good as you, hire them to do it, because you'll get more done that way. So the biggest challenge, and I teach this to a lot of my coaching clients, is something that I call dying on the vine. What I mean by that is when you run a business, there's a million things that need to be done. There's always something else that needs to be done. You're never done building a business. You're never going to look and say, oh my gosh, it's only 3:00 p.m. I have absolutely nothing else I can do for the rest of the day. That is never, ever, ever, ever going to happen. You're never going to be caught up. So the learning part is there. Number one, don't burn yourself out, because you will work from the time that you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, and that will wear you out, and you will end up burned out. You will end up in a bad place in life. I promise. It happens to everybody if that's how you live your life. But don't work until you're done, because you're never going to be done. The part that you need to get good at is identifying your priorities and be willing to let everything else die. The reason why I call it die on the vine is because it is going to be painful for those of you that can relate to me. On the Enneagram, I believe I'm a 1. I believe I'm a perfectionist. I want everything done. I want it done right. I want it to be done perfect. I don't want any flaws. I would have been a great employee at Apple, because they just love to design perfect things with no flaws. They want all the edges to be perfect. They go crazy on trying to create something perfect. That's kind of my personality. The problem is you just don't get much done that way as an entrepreneur. You have to be able to focus. And when you have all these ideas, what's the one that's going to make the difference? The rest of them, even though you could breathe life in them, you have to let them die. And you have to let them die right in front of your face. And it's extremely painful to do, because in any given day, if you have 100 phone calls and you only can return 10, you got to let the other 90 go. And that's going to make some people mad. But you have got to focus, or the things you've gotten yourself into are not going to get your best, and they're going to die by default. If you prioritize everything, you prioritize nothing. And in fact, it is actually a myth. If you go back in time about 50 years or so, we were taught priority. Today, we live in a world of priorities. Like everything's important. If everything's important, nothing's important. You know, just like we teach in our business, and we go from event to event. If you're promoting 10 events, you're not promoting any event. You're not promoting anything. If you're promoting 10 calls, you're not promoting anything. You're announcing. I don't care how good you are. Promoting is the same thing as prioritizing. It's got to get your focus on the things that are going to move the needle in your life. It's the things you need to stop doing that's going to make a huge difference. It's the things you're going to start doing that's going to make the biggest difference. And your ability to focus on the few key things and be able to let the rest die in front of your face is a very painful thing for somebody like me, but it has to be done, because you can't do it all. You'll wear yourself thin, and things will just not work. That's the reason why a lot of people get so distracted by multitasking. We were not created to multitask. We were created to be a taskmaster of doing one thing followed by something else, not 10 things at once. And so that's my tip there.
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, that's something that, I've struggled with quite a bit. And, I don't know if I came to a super coherent thesis as you just stated it, but I've definitely felt myself just letting things go and just kind of have this ugly feeling because it's not getting done. You know what I mean? But it's just not a priority. I mean, you can only do a couple things, and it's like I'm watching these couple little things just go, oh, and I like how you put it, dying on the vine. That's what it feels like. I'm just watching it die, and I just have this terrible feeling, but it's got to happen. So that's really good. So, now you gave an example. You gave an example about, calls, and so just kind of give, a very like practical, real example. You talked about promoting events. Like, just give us an example in our business of Legal Shield, working with the young pros, of like, somebody, they work a job, maybe they have some kids, they have a really small period of time to actually do their business. And they're like, okay, I'm going to do my business. And they sit down at their desk, and it's like, okay, I got these calls, and I got this event, and I got this training thing. And somebody said, I got to be on this Zoom somewhere. And I'm just like trying to figure out, well, what do I need to do first? And sometimes people just get caught up, and then 20 minutes goes by, and then they're looking at Facebook, and then nothing happens. Now, they thought about their business for 30 minutes, but actually nothing got done. So, I mean, obviously you got to make some priorities, but like, how would you maybe advise that person on how to move into action?
Yeah. So first of all, set your action plan. You know, what is your DMO, your daily method of operation? What is it that needs to get done every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year? And abide by that master plan. Everything else you can fit in later. We've all heard that analogy before that, you know, somebody was given a pitcher with some big rocks, small rocks, little pebbles, sand, and water, and asked to put it all in there. And they couldn't do it because they poured water in, they put sand in, and it just never would work right. But when you put the big rocks in first, and then you put in the smaller rocks that kind of fit in the cracks, and then you pour in the sand that fills in all those cracks, and you pour in the water that fills in the air between all the little sand pieces, then you can fit it all in. And that's the same thing with our life, is figure out what are your rocks in your business. Well, I can tell you there's some that are very simple, like 2 exposures a day. That simply means introducing 2 new people to your business. For those of you watching this that may own another business outside of Legal Shield, it's simply marketing. It is getting in front of the eyeballs of potential customers. Okay, that's it. Every day you need a beat to the drum of putting this information in front of people. We call it 2 exposures a day in our world, in particular to the Legal Shield business, but it's it, doing 2 exposures a day, getting on 2 training calls a week. There may be 50 that are available, but your minimum needs to be your core 2. Most organizations have 2 that they get in. For those of you that run a company outside of this, it's simply beating to the drum of getting into consistent training that makes you better at your craft. So if you own a business outside of Legal Shield, what is it that you're consuming on a regular basis? Maybe it's a podcast that produces 1 or 2 new episodes a week. Great. Consume them. Listen to what other people are doing in your industry and in your line of work. Get into the flow of training so that you're consistently getting better and you're learning with the times. Not a history book of how your business worked 20 years ago. How's it working today so it's relevant? So doing your 2 training calls a week, which is vital. 10 pages of a good book a day. Non-negotiable. You got to work on yourself. Any business that you're in, it's a 6-inch business. It's between your left ear and your right ear. It is your brain. It is your ability to process information. It's your ability to think clearly. It's your ability to cut through the fluff, to figure out what's important, what needs to execute on, and what is an opportunity. So you got to work on yourself because you are your business. Your business is not your business. You are your business. So work consistently on yourself. That's non-negotiable. That goes into your planner. And then, you know, around that, we have other things. Like we have quarterly events. We have some Super Saturdays that are done on Zoom these days. We have our national conventions that we go to. These are your rocks. These are the things that go on your calendar. It's your master business plan, and you don't deviate. Everything else you can add to it. You want to add an extra training call? Great. If you want to add another Zoom, great. You just make sure that you are consistent at doing the minimums that are going to move your business forward and fit everything else in as much as you can. And again, don't burn yourself out. Make sure that you make room for you. If you're married or engaged, make sure you have millions of dollars and your health. You got to be really. And Josh, you still with me?
Yeah. I think you're breaking up just a little bit there. But
yeah,
we got you.
For a second. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. And just to give it a second here, and somebody asked, will this be recorded? Yeah, as of right now, Terry, that question was you. You can watch it right on this Facebook page, wherever you're watching it at right now, or you can go over to YouTube, Young Pros Official, or just type in youngproshowcase.com. You can check that out there as well. But so something that you just said, and I might have missed it. You know, I lost my train of thought there, but you know, you're talking about, you know, 2 a day, 2 a week, 10 pages, non-negotiable. It's in between your ears. Oh my gosh, you just said something like super cool, and I just literally, I lost it. Probably it's not the first time that's happened. But so anyway, you know, back to the strategic life thing, which is really what we're talking about anyway. Man, it was something I really wanted to ask.
It was about not burning out, spending time on your health, your marriage, finances, all that stuff.
Burnout. Yes. So, yeah. Talk to me about that. You know, I think I have my own philosophy on burnout and how to keep that from happening, but I'd like to hear it from you. I mean, is burnout real, and how do you keep it from happening? And if you feel like you're burnout, what do you do?
Yeah. So burnout is definitely real. It's definitely real. I believe that, I mean, they're now putting it in medical books as an actual condition.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you look into that, I guess it's a psychology book condition. I don't know if a doctor can, say, hey, you've been diagnosed with burnout. But it's literally gotten to that stage in our culture today because we are bombarded with information and notifications 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We got to get really good at turning those things off. We need to set parameters and know what we're going to get done when we're going to do it and when enough is enough. And you have to be able to say when enough is enough. If you don't, I promise you're going to end up in a bad position where either you cannot get inspired, you cannot get motivated, you can't get out of bed, you turn to something that's negative, whether that be drinking too many cocktails or working out obsessively and spending too much time at the gym or letting your health completely go, bad eating habits. There's a million bad things that can happen when you get to a burnout stage in your life. I believe it's absolutely real. And I believe one of the best ways to prevent that from happening is really taking some time to think about what success means to you. Because a lot of times people don't have goals at all. Those that do sometimes don't think about everything else around their one definite chief aim. And I'm telling you right now, what good is it to have millions of dollars in the bank if your marriage is failing, if your kids don't respect you, if spiritually you're confused, if you're not contributing to society your greatest good, if you're miserable at what you do in your profession, but you're successful? I mean, is that really success? And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't take the time to really look and describe what success really means to them. So they aim at one thing and they miss everything else that's around it. And so what success is for me is having a wife that loves me, a marriage that's on freaking fire, that we can't wait to be with each other every single day. We miss each other when we're away. That's what success is to me. To be healthy, to be fit, to look in the mirror and not be disgusted, to feel vibrant and energy, to feel like I'm pouring my mission, my passion, my vision, and my dreams out every single day, to feel close to my creator and feel like I'm growing that every day, to become a better person, to study the things that matter, that make me a better human being, to be a contributor on the world, leave it a little bit better than when I left it, to build a successful foundation financially for me and for my wife and for whatever cause that we compelled to contribute to. I want to be on fire in every area of my life. I don't want my house to fall apart. I don't want my body to fall apart. I don't want my finances to fall apart. I don't want my contribution to the world to fall apart. I don't want to sacrifice any of those things. What does that mean, Josh? What that means is those are the things that I'm not going to let die on the vine. I'm going to keep them alive. How am I going to do that? I'm going to make sure that it all gets sunlight. My marriage, my fitness, my health, my finances, my education, my spirituality, my contribution to society, my God-given passions and dreams. I'm going to make sure I water those things every day. I'm going to make sure they get sunlight every single day. I'm going to make sure they get nutrients every single day. And if I miss a day, I'm going to get back on it tomorrow because I don't want those things to die. I want to keep them alive. And I don't want them just to be alive. I want them to thrive. And so that always gives me something to do. There's never a bored moment in my life because of that. And it keeps me from being on the grind nonstop because I cannot just work to be what this world tells us is successful and come home and my marriage fall apart because I'm always at the office or I can't get away from work. That's not successful to me. Right. And most people, if they take enough time to contemplate and ponder these things, they'll say, man, I've never thought about that, but yeah, I don't want to be successful if that's what success is. To me, it's a different definition of success, and that's the one I'm after every day. So I build time for it, and it keeps me from being burned out because if I want my marriage to do well, I have to put my business away for a moment and spend time with my spouse.
Yeah.
And that keeps me from being burned out.
Well, I'm glad that you said, you use the analogy of, watering, and the way I think of it is, you have all these buckets. And not that everything is in perfect balance all the time. I mean, certainly things they're probably always out of balance, but it's like, I have these different buckets. Like this was a few months ago. I went on a stretch. I was really working hard, putting in long hours and getting results. Now it's even worse if you only have that one chief aim. Like you said, you just kind of, you laser in, and this is the only thing. And it, for a short period of time, no problem. But for a long period of time, it can definitely start. And especially if you're missing it, you know what I mean? I've experienced that too. It's like you think in your head, well, I have this goal, this one specific thing. I'll just put everything into that, and everything else starts suffering around it, and you're missing it. Like, that's the worst. But it was a few months ago where I was really grinding, putting in the long hours, and I went a stretch where my girls are at home, and I do work from home, but it's like I'm in my office in the basement. So I went a few days without really spending some time with them. And I don't remember if it was 3 days or 4 days or whatever it was, but I got to the end of the week and I'm like, I'm losing my mind here. And it was just a reminder that, like, okay, that bucket's getting really empty. You know what I mean? We gotta put some water in that bucket. And as soon as I put some water in the bucket, like, I felt good again. I was like, okay, now I feel like I can go and give of myself, where I start to get, really, maybe you're dealing with a client, maybe you're dealing with a prospect or whoever, and you got friction all the time. You know what I mean? They said something a little off, and you're like, verbally.
Exactly.
So, yeah. A couple things. So here's some like easy, lighthearted questions for you. So, one is the first time we ever met. I don't know if you remember this. Maybe I've told you this. Maybe I haven't. Was in, I think it was in Douglasville, Georgia. This was like 2009. And we were at an event over there with the Streeters, if you remember this. And I came down from Michigan. I just happened to be there. And you came in. And I remember that you were driving some sort of red convertible. I don't remember. I just remember it was red convertible. And I was like, who's this 15-year-old driving a red convertible?
Yeah, that was my Lotus Elise, an exotic car.
Okay, yeah. That was a minute ago, but
that was.
Yeah, okay, Lotus. I wanted to know what kind of car it was because I couldn't remember. It was a long time ago. Something else I was going to ask you about. I saw this you'd posted on social media, and I'm going to mess up the quote, but it was something about the early bird gets the worm, and then you said there. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I said the early bird doesn't get the only worm.
Doesn't get the only worm. Okay. So now that we're here and we're talking about it, right? I can guess what that means, but I grew up. The early bird gets the worm, and I get up early. I'm like a 5:30 kind of guy.
What's interesting is that was one of the most popular blog posts that I wrote. And that was my concept back then, was the fact that I was convinced that I'm not a morning person, which I still will tell you today, I'm not naturally a morning person.
Sure.
But this story actually takes a big 360. But back then I tried every early morning protocol you could think of, you'd ever heard of. I went through them all. I listened to podcasts. I read blog posts. I read books. I talked to early morning people. I tried it all and I failed miserably because there's nothing in me that wants to get out of bed in the morning. It does not matter if I've slept 2 hours or 20. It doesn't matter. I do not want to get out of bed in the morning. There's nothing in me that springs out of bed. Okay. I just naturally, I just want to sleep. I just want to be in bed. And at night is just the opposite. So I thought eventually I'm going to stop fighting this and I'm going to start embracing it. And it really worked for me. It worked really well. But there's a challenge with it. The challenge with it is that the rest of the world is getting up. So when you wake up, you are bombarded with everybody else's agenda. You've got text messaging, you've got phone calls you've missed, you've got emails that are racking up. The sun is already up. The dogs are up. Everything else is going on. And you have to start in the midst of chaos instead of being in control of your day. And I knew that, but I decided to embrace it because I could never get consistent at getting up early in the morning until I came across Robin Sharma's book, The 5 a.m. Club. And when I read that book and I applied those concepts, I ended up getting up at 5 a.m. for 66 days in a row without missing a day. And after that, I have decided that I am a morning person. Now, that doesn't mean naturally, because when my alarm goes off, there's nothing in me that wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I don't do it every morning, but most mornings I'm up at 5 a.m. and I get to be in control of my day. I get to do a very quick workout, not my primary workout of the day, but something to get the blood flowing, get stretching, get hydrated, drink a lot of water, be able to read some scripture, get level-headed, pray for my intention for the day, whatever's on my mind, whatever I'm focused on, pull out my journal, write what am I stressed about? What am I excited about? Who do I want to become? What do I want to be like? What are the opportunities I have today? What am I grateful for? And I journal about those things, and I read my personal development, and I get busy on my most important task of the day while I'm clear-headed before most of the world is even up. I've got caffeine in me because I'm drinking either organic coffee or organic tea, and I am ready to conquer the world by the time I'm done with my morning ritual. And the good news is when you fast forward later in the day, I get tired earlier. So once you start that, it actually starts to become an easier habit to follow and becomes the way that you eventually do life. And these mornings, I hate if I miss a morning of being able to wake up and be in control of my day. And by the way, that morning ritual that I just flew through, I do that before I check a text message, before I check my email, before I check social media, before I check notifications, before I do anything on my phone other than stop my alarm. I have done my whole morning routine before I even look at any device, any distraction. I'm going to be in control of my day before the day begins, and then I'll look at all the distractions and everything that's going on. And that's how I start my morning these days. And so,
okay,
it's interesting. Back then, I used to not get up early. Now I do. That whole thing has changed.
Yeah, no, I will say, at a point in my life, I work second shift, so I'm going into work late, I'm getting off late. So that was a different time. I was much younger, didn't have kids. The kids kind of, they're in school now. So there is no options, right? I kind of have to be a morning person, but for a long period of time, I was, getting up at 5 a.m., hitting the gym. And that's just for over a number of years, it's kind of gotten ingrained into me. And people make fun of me now because here we are in the Young Pro call. And like once it hits midnight, I turn into a pumpkin. Like I don't have good, I don't have clear thoughts after midnight. I'm not much of use to anybody. And, I also have this theory that really not too much good happens after midnight, right? Like, some crazy stuff. Plus, like, I don't know if it's like somewhere around 9:30 or 10. Like, I cannot, like, if I have to sit down and write something, write out a training or just anything where I have to do some like, heavy thinking. Just it's not good, right? Like it's for me, it's better in the morning. Now I know there are people that are better at night. Like they turn on and they're like ready to go. That's not me.
Yeah. And for me, again, not being a morning person, but now turning into a morning person. As far as, again, nothing in me. It's not like I don't spring out of bed in the morning. It's still a discipline. But deciding to actually make that a part of my life is one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. And I tried to make it before. Again, I just failed miserably until I read that book. And that book changed everything for me. Applying those principles, like I had all the other principles I had learned, but that book is what got me to change my morning routine. And I'm forever grateful for it, for sure.
Okay. So there is something to this, like reading stuff, huh?
Yeah, there's something to it. Something to it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on, and I know obviously it's getting dark over there, so I won't keep you much longer. I think we should definitely do this again if you're up to it. But any before we go, any parting wisdom, any last thoughts that you have?
Yeah, my last thought is this: we are bombarded in life with so much information. And advertisers, social media groups, marketing have become their ability, conscious minds into our subconscious brains and be able to program us on their agendas. It's the reason why we want for so many things that we don't even need. It's the reason why we care about other people's opinions. And that is the world and the culture in which we. And so what I would share with you is to be exactly what's going on, to defend your mind, to put things in there that will make you better, to get you into the places in life that you want to go, and to really take some time and define what success looks like for you in every area of your life and priorities, and make sure that you're not just writing down what you've been taught, because the world is really good at teaching you what you should want, who you should become, and what success looks like. And I'm telling you, if you take time to look into your personal self, you'll find out really quickly that maybe your definition of success that you think is what is real to you. When you take time to really dissect it, you start to understand that, man, that is not success. And what is success for me? What does it look like for me and for my family, for my fitness, for my health, for my finances, for my future, for my contribution? What does that really look like? Who do I want to be? What is the story of my life? I don't get a do-over. There is not a do-over. We're not, our life, we get one chance to design and live a life that God gave us. What are we going to do with it? And in the end of our days, are we going to say, I was on the right path? Or are we going to say, I was led astray because I listened to everybody else? I listened to the world's definition of success. I chased things that didn't even matter. I looked to get approval for the people that I didn't even need or really care about their opinion, that mattered so much to me and shaped my life in a direction that it should have never been. You know, we want healthy marriages, healthy relationships, friends that would take a bullet for us. We want to leave a mark on the world, make it a better place, at least just a little bit. We want to stand for strong principles that are important, things that we're passionate about. We want a relationship with our Creator, whatever that means for anybody watching this. Develop that relationship, become the best human being that you can, and don't let anybody get in your way and try to cloud your vision and say, you should be this, you should be that, you should chase this, you should chase that. You should be chasing what God's definition of success is for you in your life. And don't let anybody else get in your way, because when they do, they distract you and take time out of the years and the life that you have that you can do something about. That's what I mean by strategic life design. Most people take the average marriage, it takes 9 months to plan. Most people don't take 9 minutes to plan their life. And if they do set a goal, they set one stupid goal about, you know, I want to make a bunch of money, or I want 6-pack abs, or I want, and those are great things. But design your whole life and make sure you're not missing any of the spoke of your priority, because if you miss it and you don't water it and you don't give it the sunlight, it's going to die right in front of your face. And eventually you won't be able to revive it. You will, if you just live in, what is the average health in America today? It's sick. What is the average marriage in America today? It's divorce. What is the average finances in America today? A lack thereof. If we become average in any area of our life, it's going to take us to a place that is not healthy. So don't look at the world's definition of success. Look at your definition. Make sure that you have taken just a few minutes to really marinate on these things and design a life that you're going to be proud that you lived, and the people that you respect the most will respect you for it, and then stand for it. Be an immovable anchor on the things that are important in your life, and watch how congruent you feel. Some of you guys, you may feel more alive than you ever have your entire life, because all of a sudden you're on point with your purpose and your passion and what you're supposed to be doing. And it feels invigorating, and you'll never need motivation because you'll wake up with it just about every single day. I can just about guarantee you.
Man, that's good. That's good. That's strong. So, hey guys, if you would like to, if you're watching this and you'd like to hear more from Kevin, if you'd like to have him on again, just drop a part 2 in the comment section, part 2. And if we get enough of these, I think we can maybe sway him to come back on. But Kevin, man, I really, really appreciate you hopping on. I mean, every time I've ever heard you speak, it's always touched me. I've always took away something from it, even if it's just, you know, a couple minutes on the phone, a couple times we've talked. So I look forward to coming to Alabama and seeing the homestead there. So yeah, I'm inviting myself. Man,
we're 30 minutes from Florida. We're right by the Gulf of Mexico. We have Florida's beaches. People don't think about that when they say Alabama. Look, we got a spare bedroom, bathroom, whole 9 yards. Okay. Come hang out. You got
I'm closer now.
Place. Yeah,
I'm closer now, so we'll make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
All right, man. Tell the wife I said hi.
Certainly will, man.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. And for everybody out there, hey, if you would like to, a couple things, if you'd like to know more about the Young Pros, right? You're like, hey, what's this all about? What do the Young Pros even do? Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, you can go to youngpros2020.com, a special Zoom call. You can be a part of that and just kind of check out things, see what's going on behind the scenes. But if you want to become a Young Pros ambassador, meaning you want to, you know, get the updates, get the notifications when we have, you know, an event, when we have something going on, you want to be the first to know, you can go to youngprosambassador.com. fill out a little form. You can pick up a Young Pro Zoom screen. So if you're on a online meeting, you can rock some Young Pro swag, and it's free, right? It's pretty cool. So youngprosambassador.com, and make sure you like the channel. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel so you can get all of our videos, and we will be back next week. So next week, listen, we already have it planned out. Next week, we have some folks that we had a little contest, little incentive with the Young Pros, won some pretty cool things. And these people were the top people out of hundreds of people that work with the Young Pros in a little contest we had last month. So we're going to have them on next week, hopefully, to be able to kind of share what they did and, of course, show off what they got for it. So with that said, everybody, appreciate you hopping on. Look like we got a lot of part two, so hopefully we can get Kevin back on here in the future. So you guys have a great night. Take care.